What's up, guys? Welcome back once again. First of all, I want you to know this story is based on a heartbreaking true event. At the beginning, we meet a 21-year-old young woman named Michelle. She's recently divorced and now raising her little boy as a single mother. Life isn't easy for her. She doesn't have a job, and her financial situation is unstable. Michelle lives with her mother, trying her best to care for her son all on her own. One day, after returning from the market, Michelle finds a strange and disturbing scene at home. A man, clearly intoxicated, is sitting inside her house, right next to her little boy. Her mother is nowhere to be seen. Since the man is an acquaintance of her mom's, Michelle hesitates to confront him. But things quickly take a dark turn when he starts acting inappropriately towards her. When Michelle's son tries to intervene, the man violently pushes him, injuring the child. Frightened, Michelle rushes her son to the hospital. There, the situation gets even worse. While examining the boy, the doctors begin to suspect that Michelle might be neglecting or harming her child. Without fully understanding the truth, they call in a social worker. The worker takes the boy into custody and asks Michelle to appear in court. Devastated, Michelle pleads for her son, but the authorities insist, without a job or stability, she can't provide proper care. And just like that, her child is taken away. The next day, Michelle leaves home early, filled with hope that she'll finally be reunited with her son. But as she walks through the unfamiliar streets, she quickly realizes she's lost. Unsure of the way to court, she stops by a local store to ask for directions. There, she meets a man named Castro. Michelle recognizes him. He's the father of one of her friends. When Castro offers her a ride to court, she hesitates at first, but then agrees, trusting him as someone she thought she knew. She was desperate to reach court on time. While driving, Castro tells Michelle that he has several puppies at his house, and she could take one for her son. It'll make him so happy. Then he suggests a quick detour. He'll give her a puppy and drop her at court right after. Wanting to do something nice for her son, Michelle agrees. But as soon as they enter Castro's house and step inside a room, everything changes. He suddenly shuts the door behind her. Alarmed, Michelle tries to escape, but Castro grabs her and ties her up with wires. Terrified, Michelle cries and begs him to let her go, telling him she needs to be with her son. But Castro shows no mercy. He stuffs a cloth into her mouth and suspends her in the air using more wires. The pain is unbearable, but even in that horrifying moment, her heart is with her son. All she can think about is how, if she doesn't make it to court, she might lose him forever. She pleads with Castro once again, but he simply walks away, leaving her hanging in silence. Michelle remains tied up from morning till night. The next day, when she doesn't show up at court or return home, both the police and her mother assume that she's simply run away. They think she's trying to escape her responsibilities and isn't serious about her son. Michelle never had a strong bond with her mother, and sadly, there was no one else in her life who truly cared. So, when she goes missing, no one even bothers to search for her. Everyone just believes she left on her own. After keeping her suspended for 2 full days, Castro finally brings Michelle down. By then, she's so weak and exhausted, she can barely stand. Through tears, she begs him to let her go, promising she won't tell anyone what happened. But Castro doesn't listen. She hasn't eaten or drunk anything for 2 days, and her body is trembling with pain and hunger. But none of that matters to Castro. Cold and cruel, he drags her into the basement. Afterwards, Castro tells her that his wife had left him, and now he wants to build a new family with Michelle. He ties her up again. Just then, the doorbell rings. It's his mother, bringing him food. Castro calmly takes the food and sends her away. When he returns to Michelle, his voice turns darker. He says, "No one cares that you're gone. No one is looking for you, and now you're mine, and I can do whatever I want with you." A few days later, Michelle attempts to free herself and escape. But before she can get far, Castro threatens to shoot her. In desperation, she tries to reason with him, to manipulate him with words, but her attempt fails. Enraged, Castro punishes her even more brutally. Days turn into weeks, and weeks into months. Michelle's body weakens, and her spirit starts to break. He treated Michelle like a prisoner, chained at all times, with no privacy and no mercy. Whenever he felt like it, he abused her in any way he pleased. The room where Michelle was locked had only one item, a small TV. It was her only connection to the outside world. Meanwhile, Castro had wired the entire house with alarms and traps, making sure she could never escape. Every time she tried to run, he would find out instantly. Even through the torture and isolation, Michelle never stopped thinking about her son. He was the reason she kept fighting to stay alive. Her love for him gave her the strength to hope. She kept her faith in God, believing with all her heart that one day she would break free and finally return her child. Days keep passing. Michelle has now been there for so long. The pain becomes her new normal. She begins to adapt, but deep inside, she never gives up hope. At one point, Castro brings her a small puppy to keep her distracted. Michelle plays with it, finding a tiny spark of joy in her dark world. But one day, she notices that her chain has been left unlocked. Seizing the chance, she tries to escape, but Castro catches her. Enraged, he beats her violently and, in a cruel twist, kills the puppy. It turns out he had left the chain open on purpose to test if she would try to run. Michelle's attempt to escape costs her the one innocent friend she had. From then on, Castro becomes even more twisted. He starts enjoying the torture, believing no one can stop him. Under the pretense of growing his family, Castro kidnaps another girl named Amanda by offering her a ride. He brings her to the same house of horrors. Just like Michelle, Amanda is abused and kept locked in a separate room. Terrified and broken, Amanda often cries. When Michelle tries to comfort her, Amanda refuses to talk because Castro has threatened to kill her if she says a word. One day, while watching TV, Michelle sees news about Amanda. Her family and friends are actively looking for her. There's even a public rally organized for Amanda's safe return. Seeing this, Michelle feels happy for Amanda, but at the same time, a deep sadness hits her. No one had searched for her. No one had raised their voice when she went missing. The world had moved on without her. A few days later, despite her weakened condition, he chains her by the ankles and forces her to chop wood in the backyard. Her health continues to deteriorate, but Castro, more monster than man, shows no mercy. Some days, Castro gives her food. Other days, she goes to bed hungry. Pain becomes her daily companion. Yet even through all this, Michelle keeps holding on, clinging to the hope that one day she'll be free. After some time, Castro brings in another girl. Her name is Gina. But unlike before, Gina screams and struggles loudly as he drags her toward the house. Her screams are so loud that a neighbor hears them and calls the police. The officers arrive, but from the outside, everything looks normal. They don't hear anything unusual, so they leave. Castro takes Gina to the same place where Michelle and Amanda are held. When Gina sees the two girls already there, she becomes terrified. Castro then begins doing the same horrible things to Gina that he had done to Michelle and Amanda. Castro favors Amanda, so he keeps her closer, while Michelle and Gina are locked together in another room. Gina often cries, missing her family deeply. Michelle tries to comfort her, giving her strength. Meanwhile, Gina's parents are doing everything they can to find her. They talk to news channels, put up posters, and even organize rallies. In a twisted moment, Castro actually visits one of those rallies and tells Gina's mother, "Don't worry, your daughter will be found." Back in the house, the girls watch this heartbreaking moment on the TV. Over time, Michelle, Amanda, and Gina form a strong bond. They become more than just fellow captives. They become sisters, comforting and supporting each other through the darkest moments of their lives. One day, Michelle and Gina hear a heartbreaking piece of news on the TV. Amanda's mother has passed away. The two feel terrible. Even in captivity, that moment sinks in deeply. Amanda, unaware of the news, continues her daily routine until later. A few days later, Castro gathers all three girls together. He brings them food, something that doesn't usually happen, and says with a twisted smile, "I have a surprise for you." Then he announces that Amanda is pregnant. He says he's happy about the baby and that their family is about to grow. One night, Amanda goes into labor. Castro, holding Michelle and Gina at gunpoint, forces them to help deliver the baby. Scared and shaken, Michelle does her best to help Amanda. After a painful night, Amanda gives birth to a beautiful baby girl. Castro is overjoyed, as if everything that happened was part of some normal family plan. As time passes, the baby grows. She starts to walk, talk, and even attend a school nearby. Surprisingly, Castro starts giving Amanda a little more freedom, just enough to care for her daughter. But despite that, Amanda, like Michelle and Gina, still remains locked inside the house, trapped in a nightmare that never seems to end. While Amanda had a child to look after and a bit more freedom for Michelle and Gina, nothing had changed. They were still treated the same way, still given just enough food to survive, still locked in like shadows that didn't matter. Whenever Michelle saw Amanda's little girl, she couldn't help but think of her own son. Her heart ached with the thought of him, wondering if he even remembered her. But she held on to hope, the hope that one day she would escape and see her son again. Amanda's daughter had grown fond of Castro. To her, he seemed like a loving father. One day she asked him, "Can we all go out to the park?" But Castro refused. He had told the little girl never to mention Michelle or Gina to anyone, not even by accident. But hiding the truth was getting harder. The older the girl grew, the more questions she asked, and each question became a crack in the dark world Castro had built. One day, as Castro was leaving the house, he forgot to lock the main door. A glass storm door was still closed, but from outside, people could see in. Amanda's daughter noticed it and told her mom. At first, Amanda thought it was just another one of Castro's tricks. But when she didn't see him return, she knew this might be real. Gathering her courage, Amanda screamed for help. A neighbor heard her. He came running and broke the glass door open. Amanda ran out, trembling, and told him, "I'm Amanda, the girl who was kidnapped years ago." The man was stunned. He immediately called the police. When officers arrived and stormed inside, they found Michelle and Gina locked in separate rooms. They were finally free. After nearly 11 years of hell, the nightmare was over. Michelle couldn't believe she was alive, free, breathing fresh air again. All she wanted now was to see her son, but the damage was deep. All three women were weak, malnourished, and emotionally shattered. They were taken to the hospital for treatment and support. Even after escaping, Michelle struggled. She couldn't trust any man. Every time a man approached her, even a doctor or a kind officer, she would freeze, haunted by Castro's face. While Michelle was recovering at the hospital, no one from her family came to visit her. Meanwhile, Amanda and Gina were surrounded by their loved ones, holding their hands, comforting them, giving them strength. Michelle felt more alone than ever. When she was finally discharged, a police officer gently broke the news. Her son, who was just 4 when she was kidnapped, had been adopted by a loving family. But that family didn't want the boy to be disturbed by the trauma. They refused to let Michelle meet him. It broke her heart. After suffering for 11 years, she couldn't even hold her own child. Michelle had nowhere to go, so the government arranged a house and basic facilities for her. She began trying to rebuild her life from nothing. Later, Michelle stood in court. Brave and unshaken, she testified against Castro. She revealed the horrifying details of everything he had done over those 11 years and demanded a lifetime sentence for him. The court agreed. Castro was sentenced to life imprisonment without parole, but just a few months later, he ended his own life inside his prison cell. After everything, the three women slowly tried to reclaim their lives. Michelle wrote a powerful book about her experience, not just about pain, but about strength, survival, and never giving up. Some stories remind us of the darkest corners of humanity, but they also show us the unbreakable spirit of those who survive. Michelle, Amanda, and Gina's journey wasn't just about escaping captivity. It was about reclaiming their lives, their voices, and their strength. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Your support helps us bring more powerful stories to life. Until next time, stay safe, stay strong,